Welcome to What Are You Noticing with Kish and Mitra. My co-host is Kish. She is a coach, relatefulness facilitator, and improv teacher.
My co-host is Mitra. He is a Dharma teacher, relatefulness facilitator, and coach. In this podcast, we're going to be covering a wide range of topics such as
Relationships,
insights from coaching and facilitation,
spirituality,
living a good life,
Asian American life,
and what's happening for us on our spiritual journeys. Without any further ado, we hope you enjoy the episode. We wanted to give more of a demonstration of what our coaching style is like, and we thought the best way to do it would be to take turns coaching each other. And so I'm going to go first. I'm going to coach Mitra today.
I'm excited and nervous.
Yeah. And I'm thinking how I'll do this is like I'll mostly just be coaching you, but then sometimes I might go meta and share about what I'm doing.
That sounds great. Yeah, I like that approach.
Cool. Anything you want to say before we start?
Well, yeah, this one came up kind of recently in the last few days, so it feels very alive and not processed. Like I haven't spent that much time working with it, so it feels very like raw and unformed.
How do you feel bringing it?
There's a little bit of hesitancy of like fear of it not like getting to a good milestone or completion point, and there's no hesitancy of like, is this too? Oh yeah, this is good. I want to feel good wherever we end up ending. Yeah. I'm nervous I won't complete.
What would make you feel good wherever we end up? Or like what kind of outcome would be good for you?
I think the big piece is like, it feels like a bigger decision that I need more information in general to make. And I think for this call, there's like interior intelligence that I haven't tapped into yet. There's like outside things I need to also learn about to make a good decision, but there's a lot of like interior emotions and senses that I haven't checked yet.
Cool. Yeah, I'm getting a sense that a good outcome for you would be to get closer to those unprocessed parts inside of you and maybe like feel some of those emotions or hear what those parts have to say.
Yeah, totally. Just kind of be in more contact and connection and listen to the intelligence or the wisdom that's kind of buried just below the surface.
Yeah, I'm getting a sense that like a specific problem, so to speak, that you're coming in with today is like this big decision that you want to make in the future, but the lack of internal clarity on what's happening for you is like really the thing to focus on right now.
Yeah, I could just give the context if it's helpful. I think.
Yeah, sure.
It's mostly like one of my friends mentioned that there's an organization that's hiring right now, and it's one of the few places that I think I would actually fit in really well and be really excited about joining. I think most places, like ever since in the past year, I've been very like, I want to mostly work with friends. I mostly want to do my own projects, coaching and small teams, and so I'm doing my own projects. I'm working with part of the startup and part of this other retreat center, very part-time, and that feels really good right now and has felt good. And then there's this other organization that if I joined, I'd probably be working more like full-time and might have to like pause or put this other stuff to bed. And it's just kind of surprising because I hadn't really considered doing like another full-time job working for someone else, at least so soon. So now I'm like, well, it's like a really good opportunity. I don't know if it's gonna happen again, and yeah, so weighing the scales.
I really feel your excitement, and it seems like there's other parts as well, like some sort of hesitation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's like excitement around my chest and my face, and then there's like some fear or doubt or confusion. Feels like lower in my butt around making a mistake, like maybe it's really hard for me like quickly make changes, or like if I already kind of started on a path, I'm kind of committed to keep going on it until something significant shifts. So this feels kind of like a sudden pivot,
Mm.
and it feels like
What
yeah.
what does I want to zoom in on that sudden pivot. What does that mean for you if you suddenly pivot?
It's like I imagine working full time again, or like 30 to 40 hours a week for someone else's schedule, on someone else's schedule, and losing the flexibility of my day, and any projects I started doing with friends would probably take a backseat to this job. And I think there's also just the fear that like it will be a bad match, and then I'll discover that like months or years down the line, and then I'll just come back to where I am now and just doing this again from like ground zero. And I don't want to have that regret or disappointment, or yeah, there's a fear about that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. There's this awareness, you have this awareness of the trade-offs.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also a fear that it's going to be the wrong trade-off.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, there's things well, I imagine I would lose certain things. I don't know for sure if that's true, but definitely would change my time allocation, and yeah, and also the fear of it being the wrong, turning out to be the wrong career or the wrong job. So
Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting. I'm noticing it kind of feels like a hot seat, where like it's kind of squirmy wrestling with this topic. Like an octopus or
Yeah.
something.
The topic feels like an octopus, or you feel like an octopus?
I feel like kind of fidgety and anxious. Kind of like imagine like an octopus like waving its arms around. Kind of feels unsettled. Yeah, I feel kind of unsettled sitting with this question.
Yeah. The broader dynamic to me seems like you have these different things that you want, and then there's this fear of making a choice that you're going to regret.
Yes.
And it's bringing up anxiety and like squirminess for you.
Yeah, it's funny. Actually, already, it feels like that really nailed it, but I already forgot the first half of what you said. Repeat it. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, like you're aware of these different things that you want,
Right.
and you're afraid to make the wrong choice.
Right. It's funny because now I'm touching into what feels like a sort of like a vertical thread, where that feels kind of true, on larger scale in my life. So
Yeah.
I recognize that pattern.
How do you relate to it?
Right now there's like trepidation, but as I turn towards it, there's a lot of like there's like a lot of charge and energy, and feels like a lot of life. Yeah. It's like it like wants to like expand my body to include how much opportunity space there is or something. Yeah. I think there's like a subtle fear of like, could I do could I actually do all of it? Like there's a part of me that wants to do All of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's this default assumption in me of like it's definitely impossible to do everything I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a limiting belief. There's a lot of energy when I consider like maybe I could just do all the good things I want to do, or negotiate
Mm.
working less or something.
Mm. Mm-hmm. You shared this new possibility, and I'm wondering what comes up for you as you share it.
It feels good to be with the energy. It's like flowing through mostly my center channel, and the anxiety or the fear feels abated. Uh, I think there's some clarity of like I ideally do want both my time flexibility and maybe like dip my toe with working with these people, and maybe I could do it like I could do like a gradual approach rather than feeling like I have to like choose. That feels more empowering and
Mm.
like less threatening.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. I want to go meta for a second because we're moving fast. Mitra's very experienced at, at looking at himself and working through his things. So
Mm.
we made a lot of ground in a short period of time. And just to recap, initially we clarified the problem that Mitra's experiencing, clarified what he wants from the session,
Mm.
and then looked into what's happening for him and how he's relating to it. And already it seems like a solution or a way forward has naturally emerged from
Mm.
what was happening for him, which is this like energy and desire for expansion. And now we're kind of being with that. And I guess my intention is like paying attention to what's already unfolding and seeing where there's possibly resistance.
That's a great summary.
Thank you. You kind of went into solutions. Like, I care about flexibility. What if I proposed working with them, but in a way that would be more gentle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm also working very part time for another company that I wouldn't want to leave hanging, and ideally I still want to be a part of. And so I think now my mind's actually going more towards the other obstacles, like my energy or my cognitive bandwidth of like switching between different projects and contexts is also kind of stressful. And so I wonder even if I got the flexibility, if it would just be tiring to be doing like four different, very different types of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm hearing this. Well, first of all, I'm curious about that sense of life force and if it's still present.
Mm-hmm. Feels it's interesting. Like my body feels more relaxed. The energy's also kind of like calmed down.
Mm.
There's some tension in my legs, but I don't know if that's just because I'm really sore today from working out, or if that's fear or something.
Mm-hmm.
The world seems more clear and crisp.
Mm-hmm.
Like my visual field actually feels more rich.
Mm-hmm.
There's like this little child part that I think it like lives in my heart. That's like, you might not get it too. So you haven't even applied. So there's a little bit of fear of being vulnerable, putting myself out there, and applying.
Mm-hmm.
Feels vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the two parts that I'm really tracking are the fear and the desire slash
Mm-hmm.
things you care about, values.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the one area we haven't touched on is like why I actually want to work with these people, which also feels like kind of very vulnerable and tender to like
Mm-hmm.
hope for or dream of. Yeah. I think there's a way in which I'm really attracted to working with like very competent people. It's like one of the reasons I like working with you is you're like very, very competent,
Thanks.
capable. Like both like logistically and like emotionally and like relationally and everything. And feeling like in a lot of the workplaces I've been in, I ended up defaulting to being the mature one or like the most emotionally competent or like the most well versed about the company or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know that this place I will almost definitely not be that, and I like that. I want mentors and people like way way more way more trained or like way more experienced
Mm-hmm.
than me. And yeah, they're also doing what seems like very meaningful work that could operate at a scale that's much more powerful than what I could probably do alone or with like a small group. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's something about being part of
Mm.
something larger that feels good, expansive.
Yeah, that feels like a similar feeling to what you had mentioned previously,
Mm-hmm.
that expansiveness.
Yeah. There's like a dialectic between like wanting to take all the ownership and responsibility for myself and like make my own business where I have control and autonomy. And then there's like another side of the spectrum that feels like being part of something larger and not having to be not having to do every role and like
Mm-hmm.
and having like a larger impact and learning from other people. And I kind of want
Mm.
both. So
Yeah.
both sides.
Could you paint more of a picture of what's important to you about the first one, having your. I feel like I'm really getting that sense of like this new opportunity. There's this way that you could be really supported by the other people working there. Like you can learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have to do it all on your own. People would take care of you. I really feel that, and I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
wanting to feel the underlying desire in the autonomy, doing your own businesses.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it's like well, like my mind flashed with like the last two places I was part of and feeling like in a lot of ways I was a very strong number two and the founder or the head CEO or the boss person usually carried the vision and ultimately was like the main decider for things and I like had a lot of influence and had a lot of power but still didn't in certain ways it was nice because it was like they were more experienced than me and I learned a lot from them and I think it actually was helpful in a lot of ways but ultimately like I didn't enact my vision of things and ultimately ended up sort of balancing out the number one person and like the areas where they were weak or they couldn't do I would end up sort of filling those gaps and there's a way in which
Mm-hmm.
like I don't love that and so
Yeah.
like hold my own vision and also not feel like I have to fill in someone else's gaps, but it's more like doing the thing that I really love, and hopefully other people can fill in my gaps. That'd be
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting a sense of sadness imagining that previously the only options available to you were either like do something on your own and not be able to like be supported or learn in the ways that you want to, or like work with someone else but you can't fully be yourself, you can't fully have your own vision.
Yeah, and it worked well to the extent that my vision or my desires had a place within the company or the organization's bigger picture, or
Mm-hmm.
to the extent that like mine matched what the founder wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was like well, actually, this is touching another vertical thread of like I'm thinking back to those other places, and I remember other people on the team that really strongly advocated for themselves and did get some of their own projects like approved and could take ownership over that. And so there's a way in which I could have probably done that more, or it's like a family pattern of like taking care of everyone else that I easily stepped into a lot of times in most of the places
Mm-hmm.
I've been in.
Mm.
So there's also this is helpful. I think I've seen like a third way where it's like there's like a loan, but I'm in control, or I'm working for some other company, but I'm having to take care of everyone else, and then there's like a third option maybe. It's somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to be with
Yeah.
that one though.
Yeah, I am getting a sense that, like, logically, this sounds super great and sounds like something that would work.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm losing those desires, those strong desires that are even like, pushing you in this direction. Like
Mm-hmm.
that desire for holding your own vision, desire to be working with others and learn.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like it's touching into this like child part that I don't know how much to like endorse or heed around like wanting. It's like I want support and care to do my vision, and it feels vulnerable to want that or expect that. I think whether I work alone or actually or join another organization, it's like I actually kind of at least this child part is like we need that in either case.
Yeah. This is, I don't ask this question a ton, but this is something specific that I learned in my coaching training that I think would be
Hmm.
appropriate to ask now, which is what bad thing would happen if you did get all the support that you needed from others to make your vision come true.
What would be the bad thing?
Yeah, what bad thing would happen?
If I got all the support my vision wanted.
Yeah. This question points
Huh.
to limiting beliefs or identities usually.
Mm-hmm.
This is the meta.
Interesting. I thought you were gonna ask what would happen if you didn't get the support you wanted.
No, what would happen if everything worked out?
Everything worked out. I think this first sense is like it'll turn out the vision was wrong or like incomplete or
Mm,
not enough.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's like oh, it's not good enough. It would be easier if I could just blame the lack of support. It's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. That seems like the main one, like not being good enough or like not doing it good enough, not deserving of the support because it didn't actually work or
Oh, yeah.
wasn't successful. There's like conditionality around like if I get support, then it should lead to something like it's supposed to be good. It's like if I get funding or donations or like support, then it should live up to their expectations.
Yeah,
Can't
I
fail.
see.
Yeah.
Totally. And it creates this circular pattern of stuckness because you do have doubt
Mm-hmm.
about if the vision is right
Right.
and if it's going to succeed. And
Right.
so you don't feel comfortable asking for support.
Right.
Yeah. And it feels so tender, that part that is afraid that the vision was wrong or you're not good enough.
Yeah, it's weird. I've been visioning like two black holes, and like one is the vision has to be perfect, and then the other black hole is like I need support, and then it's like I can't do one without the other one. But then, yeah, they sort of like they can get stuck into polarization. Yeah, it's very uncomfortable holding both of these.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. Oy. I need support, and my vision doesn't feel clear enough to deserve support.
And it's very uncomfortable for you
It's
right
very
now.
uncomfortable for me to sit with that. I don't know if this helps. My mind starts going to problem solving of like, I don't need to have a perfect vision to deserve support.
Yeah.
That feels better, actually.
Yeah, I think that feels better. I think the two directions that I would go, depending on what's happening in the session, are one, either get closer to the feeling that's happening. In this case, it would be the discomfort of holding both of those beliefs. And another one would be moving more into the creativity space of what do you want to create? How do you want things to be? What's the next step that you could take? And it seems like Mitra already kind of naturally started moving into creating this belief that feels better for him. I don't have to be perfect to get support.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also something like people will want to support me for me rather than having a perfect vision. It's like maybe people. I had this whole friendship actually come up where it's like people want to be my friend because they like me, not because of not because of some sort of transactional thing that I offer or give return or something. Yeah, it feels like a similar.
I'm trying you. It feels similar. I'm trying you on right now as you're talking, and there's like a kind of skepticism that I see. Like, you can't fully believe this.
Yeah, it feels definitely feels uncomfortable in my body. Like it's like there's a little bit of like tenderness in my chest, but there's also like a horror film character or something that's like cringing or protecting. Yeah, there's skepticism too. Yeah, is that true? That's kind of the question.
Yeah. What are you protecting yourself from?
Appointment. Yeah. Like imagining trying to rally people around something and then being told like, no, that's not a good idea, and we don't we don't want to support that.
And so instead, you do that to yourself.
Yeah, it might be like a preemptive disappointment. You can like feel compassion towards like the disappointed one in me or the one that feels let down.
Yeah. What does that part need from you?
It's like he doesn't want the story that he's a failure or that he's broken or yeah, there's like the feeling of just feeling disappointed, but then it easily trips into like you're bad or you're wrong or like from growth mindset to like whatever the opposite of growth mindset is, essence or something, fixed mindset. Yeah, wants to like try again and it's like exciting. Like the idea of having many like if it's like I only get like one pitch and that's the only one I get, I have to hit a home run. That sounds terrible, but like it's exciting if I get like a billion pitches and I'm like, oh, okay, I can maybe get a lot of opportunities to practice.
I see. Yeah, like that part wants to know that he has more chances and like kind of be held in a growth mindset environment.
Yeah, and there's like an understanding that yeah, some of them we're not gonna hit it perfectly, and that's fine too. Yeah, I've changed my stance. I think the like tension is definitely fear. Feels a little bit better now.
Yeah, I feel your compassion for yourself.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've been updating a lot in the last few months. Like a lot of things have been working out and going well, and there's been a bigger support. Well, yeah. It's just like with this one, it feels kind of like it's a bit in the unknown territories. I think it triggers the defenses and the fears and all that stuff again.
Yeah. Well, the thing that you do have control over, and it sounded like the thing that that part really doesn't want, is if things don't go, like if you aren't able to get the support that you are asking for, then do you create these negative, do you like create these negative stories about yourself?
Yeah, or the world. It's kind of like the sense of like feeling like it's some of the places I've been at. Whether I don't know, to some extent I probably like self-created it or perpetuated it, but there's a sense of like not getting the support I wanted or needed, and then it goes into this bad story of like the world is like that, or it's like universalizes it into the universe or something. I think I still have some like negative karma or something around experiences of being disappointed in the past when I thought I'd get the support and it kind of just fell through. And then
Mm-hmm.
the story becomes I should just do everything by myself because you can't rely on other people. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sad.
Yeah, I really feel that in my heart.
Yeah, I can feel the part of me that's like, I think there is a risk of foolishly entering relationships or arrangements where there's a very high likelihood of being disappointed, and I don't want to do that. I want to protect myself from like foolish, naive, like rose-colored things that I can definitely watch out for. And I also want to pursue my dreams and feel the support that I think would actually rally around if if I was being true to like my calling and yeah, like, feel the strength of my like my vow or my vision and feel like it deserves support and would be good for me and for other people to support it.
It feels like, I'm not totally sure this is a projection.
Mm.
It feels like there's more that you could want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining that you're still, in what you're expressing, you're still like
Hmm.
taking into consideration that fear of failure and rejection and disappointment. And now I guess I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering, like, what, like, if you were like totally self-serving and could be as neglectful as you wanted of other people, or
Right.
I'm trying to think of other words, like greedy,
Mm-hmm.
what would you want?
Interesting. This is like if I owned my shadow side or something, and what it would it want if there weren't any limitations.
Yeah, like I think holding that fearful part is important, but
Mm-hmm.
it seems like right now it's getting in the way of you fully being able to step into the things that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're never able to go to the other side of the,
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Oh, that's helpful.
dialectic.
Yeah, so if I own that part of me, it's like I really want to work with people I respect and admire to make a lot of transformative programming and like opportunities and training available in the world and want to operate at a scale that's like bigger than only one-on-one. Like I love one-on-one, but I like groups and communities and power of groups and communities even more. And I don't want to. I don't want to play like. I don't want to have to worry about everyone else when I'm working. And I want to feel like I'm on a team where we're like all really strong and powerful and are moving in the same direction. And I don't have to worry about. It's like not my job to worry about making sure everyone's. I actually like caring for people. It's more like having worked with people that just seem stuck and then feeling like I had to
Mm-hmm.
compromise either picking the stuck person or picking the project. And I don't like feeling like having to be in between those. Like I want someone else to deal with that thing or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very glad to like support and care for people, but if someone's like in like stuck in a hole and they're like committed to that hole, then I'm like I can't do much about that. So.
Yeah, yeah.
How'd I do? Is
I'm
that better?
starting to feel it.
Oh,
I'm starting to feel it a lot
cool.
more.
All right, good.
Could you feel that?
Yeah,
Like I could feel the energy.
yeah, for sure.
And I want you to keep going, actually.
Keep going.
If you're open to it.
Keep
Like, I
going.
want all that and
And I want to be paid very well. And
yes!
I want my training to be supported so I can take breaks
Mm,
whenever I want to increase my
mm-hmm.
capacity. And I don't want my creative and solo projects to have to take a back seat.
Mm,
And I don't want the work to become so encompassing again that it overrides, like it destroys my work-life balance. I want the work to feel like like more of a support for my life calling rather than my life energy being like sucked into some work project. Self-conscious. I flipped it again, but
yeah, that's okay. I noticed that too. Like you go from
knots,
like
pros.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And I can feel the difference, but like last time you translated it into the want. Like I want a good work-life balance.
Yeah, right. This is the thing where you said about like complaints have a hidden desire inside of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. How does it feel now? I feel like, we were hearing a lot, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even subconsciously from that part that's afraid of
Mm-hmm.
rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like we've fleshed out the other side of the desires a lot more.
Mm-hmm. I feel better. The energy is definitely flowing way more easily in my body. A little bit like, whoa, kind of. Did I just say that? It's okay to want that. Realistic. Feel playful.
Mm-hmm.
Feel feels good. Yeah. Feel very feel more like engaged or like forward in my approach rather than kind of like behind,
Mm-hmm.
like one step removed or something. So that's nice.
Yeah. Like you're standing more fully in what you want.
Mm-hmm. A bit of clarified desire. Yeah, it feels good. Interesting. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, we can start to move to a close, but I'm curious what's coming up for you now after all of this.
Appreciating the clarified desire and like I feel like this is a tool that I don't use as often in my kit, and so I want to maybe beef it up more. And yeah, it's helpful to. I could kind of see how like leading more with what I want is probably also more helpful for me and also other people than the protection of like what I'm worried will happen and want to make sure it doesn't happen. And so feels like a both end, but it seems like leading with that feels better than my fears or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think for you, like, both just in terms of what you're used to doing,
Mm-hmm.
like, it would be nice to lean more into what you want, but then also in terms of what you want. Like, you
Right.
want to be coming more from a place of what you want.
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. That was more rich and touched a lot of like life threads than I was anticipating. So that was nice.
I'm glad it was helpful too, Mitra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I'll just say for anyone listening or watching,
Mm.
Mitra and I have known each other and we've talked about these things, so I have some additional context, which was helpful.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Cool. You're welcome, Mitra. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say before we close.
I'm curious about like, are there any like meta arcs or moves that you're doing? I got curious like how much of this came intuitively to you, and like how much were you like sensing whereas like energetically in a gravity well or something?
Yeah, I think it can be difficult to describe my coaching style because a lot of it is intuitive based on things that I've learned and what I'm picking up in the moment. And I think for you, reflecting on it now, one thing that I was paying attention to was when you first mentioned the expansive feeling
Right.
that you were having.
Right.
That's when I could really feel you.
Mm.
Or maybe shortly before that, I could really feel you. And then I was kind of tracking as you were, and I think this is really common, like as people go into different solutions, like I'm paying attention to, is this a solution that you think is a solution, or is this actually a way forward in the way that you want to be, in the life and the person that you want to be? And when you were mentioning the initial solutions, I could tell there was something missing. There was that energetic quality that was missing. And so, yeah, I wanted to see what the resistance was to that, which I feel like we got, being with that fear, but then also connecting more to what's really giving you life, which was your desires. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also with you, Mitra, you're so skillful at navigating your own internal world, and so I can really be a little bit more hands-off compared to someone who might have more active patterns happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like a few small adjustments.
Totally. Yeah, I find that that's a skill on both sides, both knowing how to intervene regularly so the person stays on track, but also knowing how much to like let go of needing to be involved and sort of like letting the person unfold at their own pace. And so I definitely felt you kind of like when you could tell I was kind of like a horse going off the path to eat some grass over here. You're like, forget about over here. And I was like, oh, okay. That was nice.
Thanks. Cool. Well, next time, tune in for Mitra coaching me.
Be a very different experience.
Yeah.
Cool. Look forward to it.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Thanks for listening. This podcast was executive produced by Mitra and Kish, was written by Kish and Mitra, and performed by Mitra and Kish. Like, review, and subscribe wherever your podcasts are found.
For more information about Mitra, you can visit his website at peterxpark.com. And for more information about me, you can visit my website at kishanmu.com. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.